Welcome to the Seeds of Success podcast, hosted by Dottie San Martin and myself, Orly Rivera. This show is your weekly dose of knowledge, insights, and actionable tips to transform centers into striking successes. Whether you are a seasoned industry professional or just stepping onto the lanes, we've got you covered. Dottie, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Orly. I am really good. We've got a really good topic today, so I'm ready to dive in.
We do. So today we are talking convenience leads to fun. Do you want to let everyone know listening today which road we're heading down talking about this?
Yes, for sure I do, Orly. This is, a topic that really could go for anybody. Convenience is just something today that's an expectation. You walk into a fast food restaurant, for example, and you want that experience to be very easy. You don't want to have to, wait in line a long time, or you don't want to have to hunt for a self-serve kiosk or whatever. And here we are coming upon summertime, and, you've got a lot of families that are coming into bowling centers these days, and they're looking to have a great experience. But if it's not a convenient experience, that can often not be a fun experience either.
Yeah, I agree.
And so that's, the topic that we want to talk about today. And that is plain and simple convenience, and making sure that you are allowing the customers to start their experience conveniently, and you're following that all the way through that experience, all the way through to the time they walk out the door. Because convenience is just not just for families, it's even for young people. We recently attended the conference, and convenience was one of those things that even our Alpha Gen and Gen Zers were looking for, right?
Yeah, and I think convenience starts from the moment you walk in the door. Even the parking lot. If there's no parking, okay, that's not convenient for people. If there's, if you can't find the front doors, that's not convenient. I think, it starts from the beginning, and if something isn't convenient from the beginning, it could turn that whole experience into a bad experience. So, let's say, you mentioned families. You come through that front door and you're spending 5 minutes. You have a child that needs to use the restroom really quick, and you're spending all this time looking for a restroom. You're like, where is the restroom? But if you make this convenient, I know obviously you can't move your restrooms to the right away, maybe up front, but if you have the proper signage, or there's someone at your front desk that they could ask, but if there's no one there to ask, there's no signs, that's not convenient. They're already having a bad day because they probably had to rush their child in. So yeah, I think it all starts from when you walk in those doors.
Yeah. And you're right. No, you can't move your restrooms, but you certainly can make sure that your restrooms have signage, right? Yeah. So that people aren't having to hunt. But I'm going to take it back one step beyond the parking lot, because, you have an opportunity these days to offer that experience to the customer online, especially for parents. They are looking to plan their events so that when they walk in, they're not having to go through the whole deal of what they're wanting, how many people they have, all that kind of stuff. And now with the ability to make a reservation online, the customers can get rid of all of that at their convenience. So, a lot of times parents are doing these things after they put their kids to bed, all right, or after dinner when the kids are playing, and they have a few minutes to sit down and put some thought into what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day or whatever. So being able to have an online reservation is a huge convenience for people in general.
Yeah.
Same thing for me. If I'm wanting to go to a restaurant, I'm going to want to make my reservation in advance so that when I walk in, I'm not having to wait for my table.
Yeah.
I want to walk in and be able to get my table right away.
Yeah, I agree. Not everyone has reservations when you go to a restaurant, but sometimes you get there on a Friday night and you're like, oh man, 30-minute wait. But the convenience, convenience of walking in, knowing your lane's ready for you at 2:00 or 3:00, whenever you need it. That makes a huge difference, especially when if you do have a family and you have younger kids, because, them running around or they're tired and you just want to get that bowling game started as soon as you get there. And, so you're not necessarily in and out, but, you're ready to start. You don't have to wait around 30 minutes trying to keep them calm. You're ready to go if you have those reservations.
Right. And we've heard the saying, time is money. Well, the interesting thing is, people in general are just wanting to save time. They don't want to have to go through all the little steps that it takes to get started and all that kind of stuff, because they want to get started right away. They came to our centers to have fun. They want the fun to get started. So when you allow them to book online, you allow them to, if they're booking online, if you are one of the centers that have like the ability to check them in from the kiosk, you're driving them to the kiosk for another convenience to just check in at the kiosk and go straight down onto the lanes. That is value that you're adding to their experience. And people are willing to pay for that kind of convenience.
Yeah.
So when you are typically a center that runs a waiting list and people are going online and they're booking in advance, first of all, kudos to them for knowing they want to come in and they're booking in advance. But it allows them to come in and not have to wait, right? And people are willing to pay for that convenience. I can say that firsthand because my center, if you made a reservations and we had your lanes waiting for you when you got there was a slight fee for doing that. Because we all know that in order for you to get a 5-lane reservation ready, there is a downtime involved to get those lanes together. And, when groups book online, they're not going to want one lane, at lane 1 and lane 10 and lane 15 and 30. They want them all together, right?
Yeah.
So to have that convenience, people are okay with paying for it, be it a booking fee or a slightly higher per hour rate or whatever you choose to do. So don't be afraid of that.
Yeah. And I would think that with reservations that you kind of can fill in some dead time too, because, there's times where we're like, let's go to lunch. We're like, oh, it's noon though. Let's wait till 1 because they're probably super busy. But if everybody's thinking that, you're like, okay, where are the customers? Where if people are going online, they say, oh, there's nobody booked here. Let's book here. So, there's that empty space there. The customers could fill in and they're going to be coming in, if that makes sense. But I feel it's a great way to fill in space. Yeah.
Yeah, it certainly does. But, talking about convenience and specifically, we're talking about summer because that's just around the corner. But even having things that are convenient as far as like food for groups that come in. So companies that are looking to come in and they're wanting to have, snacks and stuff for those involved, making sure that you have your food items readily available and you're able to present those in a way that the customer can choose what they want. And so same thing goes for families. Do you have a family-friendly offer that maybe it's a slice of pizza and a drink for the kids, or maybe you have a pizza and a pitcher of soda for families that come in and have a whole lane. So having things in place like that make it a convenient experience really go into that experience itself. And it does contribute to the amount of fun. If the experience is a hassle, then that dampens that experience, right? It's like a wet blanket on it. It's like, oh man, and even having the ability to drive people to like a kiosk to order their food. That's a convenience because they can go in, they can choose, they can see the kiddos can point to, oh yeah, I want that because you have the ability to put food on there and pictures. That's a convenience too. And so, the message I have is make sure that you are looking at what you offer through the lens of the customer and making sure that you're showcasing the fact that convenience is important to you and you're doing everything that you can because that's also important to your customer. And don't be afraid to post that on social media or put it in put it on your reservations page that, hey, you can conveniently check in for this reservation at our kiosk or, other things. Don't forget to add, food to this reservation, whatever messaging you want to make sure your customer knows convenience is important to you. So it's important to us.
Yeah. And something you mentioned there, like the package with pizza or soda for the kids and going back to the convenient, which is all about is, parents, sometimes they're juggling, they have one kid here, they're trying to check shoe sizes. And then if they have to grab a menu, look at that or ask you what kid things you have available. Maybe if there's a lot of families coming, you're noticing maybe on your, your special board, kids menu offering these, offering these today, or, bowling, shoes, pizza, and soda, all convenient, just right there. So they see it. Cause they'll just say, yeah, we'll take that. It comes with everything. We'll do that. Cause again, it's making it convenient for them. It makes it easier for, and even if there is a little bit of a higher cost for doing this package, they're not going to really care because they want that. They want the convenience. So, and something else with the menu is there's nothing worse than, I have kids and you go somewhere and you're like, there's nothing really for kids on this menu. And then you say like, and they say, oh yeah, we could actually do a peanut butter jelly sandwich or a quesadilla, but it's like, have that on your menu. It's not being convenient if you have to ask for that. So.
Yeah, no, you're right. To be proactive is definitely the way to go. And there's a lot of ways that you can remind people of the different things that you have for their convenience.
Yeah.
I know just within, this podcast is not just about our products, right? This applies to anybody that has a center. But even doing things like running your scrolling message and remind them that, you have scoops of ice cream or you have ice cream cups for the kids. So, in that scrolling message, you can run at different times of your day. So if you see that you've got a full house of kiddos, and you want to remind them that, visit the kiosk and order your ice cream, or you can use that as a communication tool with your parents.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I think if you have a full house of kiddos, that's when you get on the microphone. You're like, by the way, we have ice cream at our concession stand.
Exactly. And it's funny because our senses sometimes drive what we do. But if you're a center that has popcorn, all you have to do is make a batch of popcorn and that drives your sales, or bake a fresh batch of, those cookies that you guys bake. That automatically sends that message out because you smell it, and boy, you've got to have it once you smell it. So,
yeah. Well, I think this was a great topic today. Convenience leads to fun. And I think that's really true. You make things convenient for people. They're going to be happy. They're going to have a great experience, and they're going to come back, which is always a great thing.
And I want to leave the listeners with one final thought. Don't be afraid to charge for convenience. I mean, yes, you want to include convenience at every step of the way, but going back to some of the things that we've talked about today, like being able to book online, and, if you charge a booking fee or whatever, don't be afraid of that, because that is that is common practice. Mm-hmm. So, it might not be common practice in your center, but it is in society as a whole. It's not an uncommon practice whatsoever. So don't be afraid to do it. I know it's a little scary sometimes to do things like that, but, ask around to some of your fellow proprietors or in the area even, and you'll see that it's okay to do things like that. So, so I think it's a great topic, and I know for me, it's a big deal. So I'm sure for a lot of centers, their customers, it's a huge deal as well. So,
yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, as we wrap this episode today, Orly, I just want to remind everybody, our goal here at Seeds of Success is to really empower you, our listeners, with tips and innovative ideas and game-changing insights. We want your center to reach new heights of success, whether you're a seasoned pro or a fresh face in the industry. Remember to spread the word, share this podcast. We're on all of the podcast platforms there are out there. So make sure that your team has the ability to listen to these, because we are pretty certain that there's one or two little nuggets of knowledge that can help pretty much anybody on your team. So, and remember, just like planting seeds, the more seeds you sow, the greater the harvest. So until next time, listeners, keep making bowling amazing and your bottom line larger.